What's up guys, my name is Tom, welcome back to another video, here back to my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. Today is time for episode 15 for the Italian Grand Prix. If you haven't watched the previous episode, I highly recommend to go check out before you see this one. It was a very exciting Belgian Grand Prix to say the least, spoiler alert, and it was a very fun race to do, so I highly recommend to go. But we're going to buy a major upgrade for the chassis and it should be ready for the next few races, 23rd of September. So I want to say that it should be ready for the Russian Grand Prix in 2 episodes time, I don't know, but it's time to choose new sponsors, and I decided to go with the XY we already had, and we're going with another one which the objective is being the driver of the day. It's a little bit hard to get the driver of the day, I know it's not going to be every single race, but the bonus money is pretty decent, so I decided to go with the 7th one, and we're going to just skip some days, some G-Force training for our teammate Nick de Vries, and well, we'll see if he's going to show a better pace in these Italian Grand Prix. Talking about the pace on practice, pace has been really good. We're running with a fresh power unity. But as we are seeing the emails, we have the announcement that we have a driver retirement, as you can see, and it's going to be Roman Grosjean that is going to retire off the first season. At the end of the first season, we have here an email from Carl. So this season is going to be the last one that we're going to see Roman Grosjean. So the first driver retirement announcement in my F1 career. So that was a bit surprising. I know that we were going to see, you know, some driver retirements in this game, but this is my first time witnessing driver retirement announcement. It's going to be Roman Grosjean. At the moment, I think he's without points, so he thinks that Haas is not competitive and he's going to retire from the sport. But now we're going to focus on qualifying. It's going to be full wet conditions for the time being, but as the sessions goes by, the track is going to start to get drier and drier. So this can be a little bit of a lottery, but nonetheless, I decided to go straight away to get a feel of the car in wet conditions. It was wet in the practice one. I did the track acclimatization actually with the full wet, so I have a little bit of experience, but this is a very different situation with the max power, with a bigger chance to have you know, wheel spin. But first lap has been absolutely terrible, as Verstappen sets the previous best with a 1:31. Our time is going to be much worse, as we are being pressurized by Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes at the closing stages of our first lap. So just see, Hamilton was way far when we started our lap, and now he's super close to us. He sets a 1:13, we set a 1:33, so 3 seconds slower. But then it was just this first lap, especially in these wet conditions, is always a banker. Try to see where the limits are, get an idea where the braking zones are in these very treacherous conditions, but then we improved by 1.5 seconds. So just see, it's just a question of doing the laps on the wet and gaining confidence. It's just a question of practice. But now you're going to see that unfortunately I made a mistake. I fitted intermediates. The game didn't want me to go on the intermediates, but definitely it was time for the intermediates, and I accidentally went out to the track with the full wets on, so we lost a bit of time. But here we are on the intermediate tires, and this can be a little bit punishing when it comes to the time remaining of the session. We have just 5.5 minutes to go. At the moment we are in the knockout zone. We are at least at the pack, as you can see, these 5 including me, that we are the first ones getting in the intermediate tires, and we're improving by 6/10 of a second. But I decided that I'm going to pit because I want to put fresh intermediates. I just wanted to get out to the track to see if it was good for the intermediates, and it definitely is. The track is starting to get drier and drier, and everyone is getting out. So definitely, if you want to get out of the first qualifying session, we really need to you know, get a lap in. So and to my surprise, at the moment nobody is exiting. Most of the people, I think I saw an AlphaTauri exiting ahead of us, and our teammate as well is ahead of the AlphaTauri. So the guys that are in the danger zone, it seems that are going to be the only ones setting the time as we are in the final corner. So you guys are going to join me in this final lap of Q1 and see if we can get into the second phase of this session, as we're getting a little bit back end happy, a little bit of tail happy through the last corner, as I'm trying to put the throttle as early as I can. And here we go, we're going to start the lap, and we're already improving a little bit into the, actually we're not gaining that much on the straight, so apologies for that. As we're going to break into the first chicane, and you're going to see that we're going to gain a heap amount of time. We go a little bit deep. I was expecting to hit put the 2 wheels inside of the first apex, but nonetheless we're going to press on. The exit wasn't that good, the back end getting a little bit shaky, and we're losing against our previous best. So this is not really good. This is not that good, because we really need to improve in every single session of the track if you want to get any chance of getting into this qualifying session. But to my surprise, no one is getting out of the pits. Just a few people were getting out of the pits to do their final lap, so that was a bit strange to see, but we gained a heap amount of time for the first Lesmo, and we're going to do the same thing for the second Lesmo. So in this second half of the lap is where we have a lot of time left on the table, and I think where the intermediates shoot well and where I'm feeling comfortable at the moment, gaining 5/10 as we're going through the Ascari, and we're going to see that we're going to get another heap amount of time. We left a lot of time on the table on Ascari. It's a very hard corner to manage, especially when you are in these very treacherous conditions, as we are almost improving by 1/10 of a second. Checker flag is out, and we'll see if we're going to progress into the second phase of qualifying as we're getting challenge complete. That doesn't matter at the moment because the pace has been really good during this weekend, so I'm expecting a good result in this qualifying session as we're going to improve by 1/10 of a second. As we lose a little bit of a can because of that bump, we're going to cross the line. Is it going to be enough to put us in the second phase of qualifying Q2? No, it isn't. It's just P17. Oh man, are you kidding me? Oh, that was a huge gap to Esteban Ocon, as you can see. So even without that mistake, we wouldn't get into the second phase of qualifying. I'm kind of happy with my teammates because he's just behind me, so I think that's a kind of a good result. I think is where the car is in these conditions, and both Haas cars, you can see that didn't even set a time with the intermediates. The best time is with the wet tires, so maybe pure stupidity from the Haas team because I think they had the pace to progress into Q2. But before jumping in the track, I thought, okay, I'm going to take all the grid penalties, and I think this should be the final place grid penalties before changing the components in this season, because we're kind of down the order. We don't have nothing to lose. This is a track that offers a lot of overtaking, a lot of slipstream. DRS is a temple of speed, so I think we have a good chance of coming back into the race. We're starting way outside of the point, so I think we don't have nothing to lose, and I think the strategy is going to be basically for the same for everyone. It's going to be one stop, but we'll see. We're going to start in last place in this race, so without further ado, let's go to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix.
Welcome back to one of only two countries that has held a race every year since the very first Formula One World Championship in 1950. It is, of course, Italy, one of the great racing nations. And it's time to get underway for the Italian Grand Prix. With top speeds up to 215 miles per hour and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. Anthony Davidson, thanks for joining me once again for the Grand Prix. Why don't we start by talking about Valtteri Bottas? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Kvyat, Stroll, Lando Norris, and Giovinazzi, Ocon, Raikkonen, Hamilton, and Pierre Gasly, Leclerc, Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Ricciardo. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Albon, Sainz, Nick de Vries, and Kevin Magnussen, Grosjean, Russell, Latifi, and Thomas. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
And so here we are, guys. Welcome to the Italian Grand Prix, starting in last place thanks to a lot of grid penalties. We'll see what we can do. I have a good feeling because our straight line speed, our engine department is the strongest one in this top motorsport car. So, and this track, basically, it requires a lot of straight line speed. So maybe we can challenge these guys. And you can see that Daniel Kvyat is starting in P3 and Lance Stroll behind him, because this is a stage of the season where a lot of drivers are starting to take the grid penalties. And I think, considering that this is probably going to be our last penalty when it comes to component change, I think we can get a benefit for the grid penalties in the next few races. But 5 red lights for the Italian Grand Prix. That was a little bit fast-paced. The lights went pretty quickly, and here we go to the Italian Grand Prix, still in last place. Try to get a little bit of a slipstream of both Williams cars, and we'll see what we can do as we go into the first chicane. I think we already cleared both Williams cars. No, because Nicolas Latifi tried to go run outside of his teammate, and the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, we were trying to go run outside in the second phase of the chicane, try to get a good traction, but the Haas gets a pretty decent exit as well for the Williams of George Russell, so we're still in last place. at the end of the first corner. So I think that's the first, because we already it's very common to gain positions at the end of the first corner as we go around the outside of Roman Grosjean. That was so close to lose a bit of fronting, so it wasn't Magnus, it was Grosjean, apologies for that, but we already clear the Williams of George Russell. So we'll see how the pace is going to be now as we're going through the second Lesmo of this second, getting a little bit of dirty air, going a little bit wide, and now we have to see if we have the pace to overtake these guys, because the Haas is pretty strong in the straight line, the Williams is pretty strong in the straight line, and we need to clear these guys as fast as we can in order to at least challenge these guys. The Red Bulls are way down the other, so maybe we can see some squabbling between them and between the Red Bulls themselves, and clearing the midfield pack, and that can give us a chance to catch a train and making some overtakes and get an underdog performance. But talking about side-by-side action, this is Grosjean going on inside of Nicholas Latifi, struggling a little bit for pace in these early stages of the Italian Grand Prix, and this should be a free wide as we're going through the start-finish straight. Look at this beautiful camera shot as we're going free wide. The three slower teams of Formula 1 in this season 1 going side by side through the start finish straight at the beginning of lap 2. We already clear Latifi, we're going around the outside, now switch to the inside of Roman Grosjean, and that is a pretty sweet double overtake on these two guys, and that was a beautiful camera shot of that free wide moment. We're going to press on, setting personal best obviously because this is lap 2, and Valtteri Bottas at the moment leads the Grand Prix, sets the pace, the pace I should say, not the face. Oh my god. What a start it's been. I'm starting to lose a little bit my voice, but someone is pulling into the pits, and it is the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo, so I wonder if he has some front wing damage, because this is too early, even for a soft runner, to pit for tyre change. There is confirmation, he already lost. He's changing his front wing, and now it's going to be quite a challenge for the Aussie to come back and slice through the field, because now he's going to have clear air, but he really needs to nurse his tyres, because this is too early for a soft runner. Everyone is on the softs basically, so basically it's too early for any comparative tyre to pit, because we're just in the beginning of lap 4, and look at the slipstream gaining and gaining on Magnussen, and he's gaining on our teammate Nick de Vries as we're going around the outside, not just of Magnussen but of our teammate as well, and another double overtake, this time on the Haas, on our teammate and that is a pretty sweet move, and that's us into P16, and there is Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes trying to gain some places because he has some great penalties and both Red Bulls, so these guys, and this is going to mean some things to the championship, because Hamilton at the moment has a very tight margin against Valtteri Bottas. Bottas at the moment I think he's leading the championship after the last round where Hamilton had an engine failure, so maybe that's the reason that had a grid penalty, had to change some components in this Mercedes car. But we have a pretty sweet battle here, and Hamilton with a privileged view, and this is the AlphaTauri of Kvyat. Yes, it is Norris and Stroll, so these guys are battling for the final podium position, but in any time soon I believe that Hamilton is going to clear these three guys soon or later, but they're going at it, and look at the train they are forming, because they are losing so much time between each other, and this is good news for us because the pack is going to be much bunched up, and this can give us a chance to battle these guys in the next few laps. And talking about side-by-side action, Alexander Albon and Max Verstappen, both Red Bulls are still outside of the points, and Verstappen now down into P14 as he clears Carlos Sainz, and look how much we're gaining to these guys because they're losing so much time, not just going side by side but destroying their soft tires by going in the dirty air, and this means big thing for us as Lance Stroll is taking another shot on Daniel Kvyat, and this time basically the Honda power doesn't have any chance against the Mercedes power, and the Vettel as well. Charles Leclerc, apologies, he's trying to slice through the field, so that's the reason why Kvyat is way up the order. These guys on the midfield are way up the order because these guys at the front, it turns out that decided to take at the same time a lot of grid penalties, but we're gaining a little bit on Sainz. I'm keeping it honest because I don't want to lose time going side by side and break the DRS window, because the DRS at this track is absolute key. Everyone is stuck in each other's DRS, that's why there's not much overtaking as it should be, but we're starting to gain a little bit on Carlos Sainz as we're deploying our overtake mode on our ERS battery. Is going defensive, so now that is going to give us a chance to go around that side, so close to contact, very tiny margins with Carlos Sainz, but it gets a switch back pretty beautifully, and you're going to see that what I was talking about. Look at the gap that now Verstappen has against of us, and he definitely broke the DRS window, so we have to do all over again. Hope that these guys are going to start to squabble with each other, but at the end of lap 8 I decided, okay, I'm losing too much time with these guys, I'm going to take a risk. I know that the undercut can be pretty powerful, especially when you're stuck behind traffic where you're destroying your front tire especially, and basically you're losing time because you're going side by side. So I'm going to take a risk and go with this undercut because let's be honest, we don't have nothing to lose. We are outside of the points, and we're going to dress a brand new set of medium tires, and that is going to be the only stop of the day. So here we go, we'll see if this is going to work. We have Daniel Ricciardo getting closer and closer, and I don't know if he's going to overtake us, you know, because he's on the soft tires. He has to stop once more. That is not really smart. The one stop is the way to go around here, especially for someone that lost the front wing in the early stages of the Grand Prix, where you have to put consistent times, and you need to gain time to the guys that basically you lost time too. So that's not very smart from Ricciardo, but we are just ahead of him. He's in the DRS range, so I reckon that sooner or later he's going to start to overtake us, but hopefully in these outlaps he's not going to go side by side with us, because it's the last thing that we want, and setting personal best, so confirmation we have good pace, and you're going to see that we're going to overtake the Renault, the other Renault of Esteban Ocon, and Ocon was way ahead of us, so by the logics we can overtake a lot of guys here, maybe the Red Bulls, who knows. This can be a strategic masterstroke from us, because Ocon was way ahead of us in the middle of that train. So here we go, next lap, we'll see how many people we're going to overtake. Sainz is in the pits, Raikkonen as well, Grosjean. We're going to clear these guys pretty easily as well. For the racing point of Sergio Perez, he's going a little bit slow because he's exiting the pit, getting some slipstream, and can we go run outside as we're going through the chicane. We overshot a little bit, we're going to park on the apex to make sure that it doesn't go on the inside or around the outside, and that's at the moment we are in P13. How is that possible? I was down into P16 and some guys had to do their stops, and here we are in the end of lap. So this is being a very good Grand Prix as Nick is pulling into the pits, so we'll see how many positions that we're going to gain, and maybe we can be on the points. Latifi is pulling into the pits, so we're going to clear these guys pretty easily. Obviously there he is, and we're going to clear Alexander Albon as well, so we are ahead of both Red Bulls. But Ricciardo is getting the slipstream and he's going to clear us, and Giovinazzi is exiting the pit, so that allows us to make an audacious dive bomb because there was so much overspeed, and somehow, as we received the warning because of the collision with the Italian on the Alfa Romeo, somehow we are ahead of these guys. P8, ladies and gentlemen. We are on the points after starting in last place as Giovinazzi tried to get a look. Oh, that was so close to to hit my gearbox. But we only just managed to keep this Tom Motorsport car ahead of us. So we're going to watch the replay. Maybe that was a little bit dirty for me, but there was so much overspeed, and I was with so much adrenaline that the only thing I was thinking is I'm going to clear Giovinazzi, and that was a little bit disgusting. And the Alfa Romeo was kind of sandwiched between by me and Ricciardo. And thankfully nobody lost a bit of his front wing, so we're going to press on. Lap 8, no, we are in P8, lap 14 I should say. I'm so excited in this race, it's been a crazy race. I don't know if we're going to finish on the points, I'm not gonna lie, because despite this car being decent in the straight line, this still continues to be Monza, which even the slowest car in the world can overtake you because of the slipstream. And talking about slipstream, there is Antonio Giovinazzi, and I'm going to let him go pretty easily because now I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to let Giovinazzi go and try to keep at bay and try to overtake him at the closing stages of the Grand Prix. And hopefully we can catch Daniel Kvyat up into P7. Who knows that we can battle not just Giovinazzi but the Russian as well. I did something like this, let's go in purpose, back on my F1 2019 career mode in Season 2, where I was doing bump drafting. I think it was with Ricciardo when it was at Racing Point. I'm not going to do bump drafting because I think that's risky, and Giovinazzi is pretty far, so there is no way that I'm going to do the bump drafting. But if I can keep in the DRS window and save my tire, save my ERS, and maybe I can have a shot to attack him in the closing stages of the Grand Prix. So it's a risk that I'm taking. It's just a difference of 2 points between P8 and P9, and this is a risk that I want to take. We're on the points, we're doing an excellent race at the moment. Remember that we start in last place, and Ricciardo, with no surprise, is going to pull once again into the pits. So that wasn't very smart. If I was him, I changed the soft tires to the hards in his first stop, but the AI sometimes does these stupid strategy calls. But this is Charles Leclerc, and he over-cleared Lance Stroll, so I think now Charles Leclerc is in P4, and I think he needs to clear the McLaren of Lando Norris, because Norris somehow managed to get ahead of Kvyat and Lance Stroll when I was in my POV. I didn't record that, but Hamilton as well clear Lance Stroll, so there's absolutely no chance to battle these top 3 teams in Season 1, and we're setting a purple sector thanks to the slipstream, as you can see at the end of on lap 19, and there is Norris. His dream of a podium has been vanished away because Charles Leclerc cleared in the start-finish straight. So now is Bottas that is leading the race in a league of his own, followed by Sebastian Vettel, Leclerc, Norris, and then Hamilton, that in any time soon should clear the McLaren of his compatriot. But now you're going to see that Kvyat clears Stroll, and Stroll is losing a lot of time in these closing stages of the lap. And there he is, we're in the DRS range, and there he is, and Giovinazzi trying to make a move on Lance Stroll as they're going side by side through the first chicane. This is going to be big things for us, and look how much we're going to gain. Try to take a tighter line, and this is going to allow us maybe to get alongside. We have the nose, we managed to put the nose alongside of the McLaren. We're running a little bit of ERS with 3 laps to go, so we have to take a look on that. But we are ahead of Lance Stroll, and we're back into P8, but I'm not done yet, because I really want to get this position on Antonio Giovinazzi, and maybe we can get P7 in this Grand Prix. So I have to be patient. We are in the penultimate lap, we can hit DRS, we are in the DRS range, so we have to push like hell. As we lose a little bit the back end, we managed to keep out of the wall. Stroll is going to might have a chance. That was so close, he almost hit our gearbox, so maybe a very dangerous rejoin by me, but gloves are off. It's the last 2 laps of this Grand Prix, and he lost a heap amount of time to the Alfa Romeo, but we're still within the 1 second gap, so I really need to do the lap of the gods if I want to finish ahead of the Italian. As Stroll is trying to get something, he's going to try to go run inside through the parabolic, and who's going to break later is going to be me, because I really want to get my nose turned in. Look how much time we're losing to Giovinazzi, and I really don't want that, but we're going to have the RS thankfully, so that is going to give us a little bit of an advantage, and that is going to cover us a little bit over Sergio Perez. So I was saying that was Stroll, so apologies that it is Sergio Perez, but we're going to press on. You're going to join me for the rest of this lap and see if we're going to gain this position over Antonio Giovinazzi, as we're getting a little bit tail happy because the tires are starting to go away a little bit, so the grip is not going to be the best, as I'm struggling a little bit in the traction zones. We cut a little bit the first apex, but what can I say, I'm so pumped to see if I can get this P7 as we're going for the final time through the Variante della Roccia, using all the track that I possibly can. And now we're going to see how much speed that we can carry through the first Lesmo, and we're suffering a little bit of dirty air, and our tires are starting to fade away, especially the front tires, because of the dirty air that destroy our front tires. But we're going to have the RS, we're going to everything to deploy rich mix. We're low on fuel, we have to watch that, but we're gaining and gaining on Antonio Giovinazzi. Look at the slipstream, and we're going to dive on inside through the Ascari for the final time. And at the moment we're in P7, but gone a little bit deep, and the Giovinazzi is going to probably get a good momentum out of the exit of the Ascari, and there he is. We are side by side. This could be a free ride because Perez can join to the party as we're going for the final dive for the parabolic. Who's going to win this battle for P7? And we're going to use all the track to make sure that we're not going to lose the position. And Perez got Giovinazzi. I'm losing my voice, but we only just going to finish in P7. Oh my, oh my.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Yet another historic win under their belts. Well done to the team at Mercedes. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
Oh man. I'm still so ecstatic for that race. That went down to the wire, and I was in low fuel mode. What saved me was going on lean revs for the Ascari to the line, from the parabolic to the line, and oh man, considering I was like that because remember that we started in last place, so I'm showing you the replays, and Stroll tried to go, try to get a position, but I managed to cover that. That was a little bit dangerous, I'm not gonna lie, but then we just shoot on the inside for Ascari on Giovinazzi. And you're going to see how Giovinazzi is going to lose the position to Perez, because I squeezed him very harshly, but come on, it was the last lap, it was the last corner, gloves are off, and so he was in the middle, Sergio Perez, and I just managed to give all the room to both of the guys, and yeah, I just gave him a little bit of a squeeze. I think he slammed a little bit on the brakes in order to not hit my brake gearbox, and that was so close, that went down to the wire. You're going to see Perez POV, and you're going to see how much time that he gained. There was no way that he would get ahead of Giovinazzi if it wasn't me going that deep through Ascari, because I slammed on the brakes so hard in the right turn, you know, in the middle of Ascari. So we tried to go on the inside, so I was very clever to cover that line. And then he went on the inside of Giovinazzi, and he slammed a little bit on brakes because I think he got scared, the Alfa Romeo, of me, and hit my gearbox, and there he is. That went really down to the wire. One more lap and I think I would lose the position to these guys, because I was without fuel, I was without ERS, I was without DRS, and there he is. Thankfully that was the last lap, and the reward is 6 precious points to a championship tally. Valtteri Bottas wins the Grand Prix and is going to definitely extend his gap over his teammate. Both Red Bulls finish outside of the points in this Grand Prix, so he's going to be an absolutely killer to the Constructors' Championship, but there he is, P11, 45 points, and we are not that far from Lance Stroll, so we have a good chance to finish this season in the top 10. It would be an absolute dream in our debut season for Tom Motorsport in the Constructors' Championship. We're still in P9, it's just me carrying the flag, but not that far from Alfa Romeo, so I really would like to see Nick starting to score some points in order to help us out in the Constructors' Championship. But guys, that has been episode 15. What a race that's been. I think it's been the best episode of my F1 2020, my team career mode so far. Episode 15, the Italian Grand Prix in Season 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to smash like and scratch the video to see plenty more Formula 1 content. Really motivates me to make more. And be ready for episode 16, the Singapore Grand Prix. I'm going to try to post the next episode still in this week. I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm going to do my best. But for now, it's time to say goodbye, and I'll see you guys for brand new video next time.